Here's what's on your feed today. The death toll from the magnitude 7.8 earthquake in Mindanao rises to 45 with nearly 500 injured and 17 still missing. President Bongbong Marcos visits quake-hit General Santos City and announces cash aid for families of the victims. Senate leaders say there is no lockdown, but remote work stays as authorities assess a reported security threat. The Philippine Sports Commission convenes as a multi-stakeholder panel after the deaths of two Ateneo athletes. And the Southern Lights dazzle from space in a time-lapse captured aboard a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. Good afternoon, I'm Denise Tan. President Bongbong Marcos visited General Santos City to check the situation following the magnitude 7.8 earthquake. And for the details, we have mobile journalist Ivan Tarinque who is joining us live from Gensan. Ivan, which specific areas yung binisita ni President Marcos at ano-ano yung nakita niya dyan?
Denise, dito nga sa pagbisita nga ni President Bongbong Marcos dito sa General Santos City, apat na lugar yung kanyang sinilip. No? Unang-una niyang chinek kanina itong Santa Elizabeth Hospital. Dito lang yan banda sa main highway ng General Santos. Ito kasi, yung building na ito kasi, yung isang building ng hospital na ito ay talagang nag-crack, nag-collapse at bumagsak yung mga pader, no? So isa yan dun sa sinilip ni President Bongbong Marcos. So isa naman na Denise, pumunta siya dito sa isang sa may Oval Plaza. Dito rin pa rin yan sa may General Santos kung saan nga namimigay ng tulong itong ang DSWD. Kasama niya nga kanina dyan si Secretary Rex Gatchalian. Pero kanina, dalawang eskwelahan pa yung binisita at minonitor ni PBBM. Isa nga dito ay yung Romana Akron Elementary School at pati na rin yung General Santos National High School. No? So sa apat na binisita niya kanina, talagang nakita niya kung gaano ka-extensive yung damage nga ng dala nga nito nga 7.8 na lindol dito nga sa Gensan. When kanina nga nakita rin natin, binigyan niya rin or nagbigay rin siya ng tulong para nga dito sa pagsisiayos ng General Santos City Hall. Denise.
Okay, Ivan, pero nagkaroon ba ng pagkakataon ng Pangulo to meet and speak with the residents and evacuees?
Denise, tama ka dyan. No? Kanina nagkaroon siya ng very brief moment, no, para i-check nga yung sitwasyon. Nangyari yan kanina nung binisita niya nga itong distribution ng relief packs dito nga sa Oval Plaza. No? Very, very brief. Kinamusta niya yung ilang mga residente, pati na rin yung apektado nga nung lindol. Pero chinek niya rin yung naging proseso kasi nung pamimigay nung ayuda, kung mabilis na lang ba, gaano ba katagal, ano ba yung mga proseso. Sinilip niya rin kanina yung itong mobile hot kitchen ng DSWD na namimigay naman ng pagkain para doon sa mga pumipila at doon sa mga apektado talaga nitong paggalaw ng lupa. Pero so far, no, very brief yung kanyang interaction with the people. Pero ayon naman sa kanya at sa nakausap nating regional director ng DSWD, hanggat daw may kailangan yung ating mga kababayan dito, handa naman daw tumulong yung national government. Denise?
Okay, kamusta naman yung sistema, Ivan, nung pamimigay nung tulong? Lahat ba organized at this point?
So far, Denise, no, for today, no, ang expected na bibigyan is around 5,000 individuals. Pero ang focus lang ngayong araw is yung mga workers displaced. No? Ito yung mga kapatid natin na nagtatrabaho doon sa mga establishmento, gaya nga ng mga restaurant, fast food chain na nasira nung lindol. No? So sila yung main na bibigyan ngayong araw na 5,000 pesos na cash aid plus itong mga food packs. No? So binigyan sila around 5,000 na individuals yan. Pero ayon naman sa DSWD, tuloy-tuloy naman daw yung pamimigay nila ng tulong sa mga kapatid natin. In fact, tomorrow nga raw, meron pang additional na pamimigay para doon sa mga residente. Pero ang budget nila dyan is nasa around 50 million yung cash aid na i-distribute. Denise?
At kamusta naman yung mga nakausap mo na affected individuals dyan? Ivan, kamusta yung supply ng kanilang pagkain, tubig, kuryente? Yan ba ipaputol-putol pa din?
Denise, fortunately, no, simula kahapon, medyo kagabi actually, bumalik na kahit papaano yung kuryente dito sa may Jensan. Talagang makikita mo yung ilang mga establishmento, talagang makikita mo bukas na yung mga ilaw, pati mga street lamps natin, no, bukas na rin. May mga talagang yung mga destroyed lang talaga or yung mga nasirang mga buildings lang talaga, yun talaga yung mga nakapatay yung kuryente. In terms naman doon sa tubig, meron naman ng running water tayong nakita doon sa mga ilang establishmentong ating napuntahan. No? Pero ang main struggle ngayon ng ilang mga residente na ating nakausap, lalo na itong mga displaced workers natin, kung paano sila kikita ngayon dahil nga yung kanilang pinagtatrabahuan, wala muna, no? Dahil sira nga yung mga ito at hindi sila makakapasok. Pero according naman sa kanila, sagot naman daw ng employer yung kanilang first week na isang linggo nilang bayad plus etong ang cash aid na ibinigay, ihahati raw nila yan for the next few weeks, Denise.
We've seen a lot of videos kung saan iba-ibang infrastructure yung talagang gumuho, Ivan. Ano na ba ang latest number o kumbaga estimate dun sa damage?
Unfortunately, Denise, no, nadagdagan dahil patuloy yung pag-inspeksyon ng local government dito nga sa mga damaged structure, no. Kasi Denise, actually meron yan 3 kategory ngayon, no. Green zone, red zone at yellow zone. Ang green zone, Denise, ibig sabihin yan, pwedeng pumasok or stable yung structure ng mga buildings na iyon, no, nabigyan sila ng ghost signal. Ito namang yellow zone, ito naman, Denise, yung medyo kailangan pang silipin ng mga city engineers kung gaano pa ka-stable itong mga buildings na ito, kung paano ba, kung okay pa ba or maayos pa ba yung pundasyon ng mga ito. Itong red zone naman, Denise, ito talaga yung off-limits na. So kadalasan ng mga red zone na buildings, nakita natin, nakakurdon na at talagang sila talaga yung sirang-sira. So payo ng mga otoridad, wag nang pasukin o wag nang subukan puntahan yung loob ng mga building na ito dahil napakadelikado at dahil paminsan-minsan, every 30 minutes, talaga nakakaramdam tayo ng mga aftershocks sa mga oras nito. Denise?
And lastly, Ivan, what's the latest update on the number of fatalities at pati na rin yung mga missing individuals?
Unfortunately, Denise, no, nadagdagan ng 2 yung fatalities natin dito. No? Kaninang umaga, nakakuha tayo ng report, nakuha tayo ng incident report from search and rescue teams sa isang shopping mall dito sa may Barangay Kalumpang dito sa may Jensan na na-recover na nila yung isa doon sa missing individual na ilang araw nang hinahanap. No, kwento ng rescue operators is nasa 3 a.m. nakakuha sila ng slight faint ng heartbeat pero syempre medyo kailangan nilang mag-ingat dahil itong building kasi na ito is talagang structural damage na talaga. So unfortunately, inilabas yung katawan bandang 7 a.m. na at diniretso na yan at kinuha na yan ng pamilya. Yung isa naman, Denise, no, isang nakuha rin dito naman yan sa may groundwater na lugar, dito pa rin yan sa may Jensan. No? So nakuha na rin yan nung kanilang mga pamilya. So far, meron pang 2 hinahanap yung ating mga otoridad at maasa nga yung ating mga rescue teams na sana hindi na madagdagan pa yung fatalities. Denise?
All right, thank you for that update. Again, that was mobile journalist Ivan Tarinque. Ingat ka dyan, Ivan. Now, still on the powerful earthquake in Mindanao, relief operations continue for affected residents and workers. Let's check the situation in Jensan with mobile journalist Daniel Dayao. Daniel, how's aid distribution going right now?
Good afternoon, Denise. Libo-libong residente pa rin ang apektado matapos nga ang 7.8 magnitude na lindol dito sa General Santos City. At kung makikita mo sa aking likuran ay halos kakatapos lang ng IX distribution ng DSWD para ito sa mga displaced workers o yung mga kapatid natin na apektado sa mga gumuhong gusali. So Denise, nagsimula yan kaninang alas 7 ng umaga at ngayon lang halos natapos. So it took them at least 12 hours. At ang mga pumipilang empleyado dito ay pinipilahan nila ay yung 5,000 peso cash aid. So meron ding food assistance dahil kung makikita mo sa aking likod ay nakapag-ikot-ikot ako doon at merong 15,000 family food pack. So bukod pa doon meron ding daang-daang hygiene kit. Pero alam mo Denise, hindi naman talaga maiiwasan na may mga reklamo pagdating sa mga ganitong sitwasyon. Kaya naman yung ibang kapatid natin, dala na rin kasi ng matindi yung init ng panahon, ang sabi nila sa akin ay sana daw ay nag-provide ng tubig o ng biskwit man lang dahil karamihan sa kanila ay nahihilo na. At bukod pa dun, Denise, yung nasabi ko nga kaninang family food pack ay nakalagay yon sa family food container or truck container. So dito makikita talaga o dun sa video na nakikita nyo ay marami talaga ang nagkagulo dahil hindi in-expect ng DSWD officials na dadagsain to ng mga tao. So what they had to do is to close muna yung container and ina-assess pa nila kung paano nila mai-reorganize yung distribution for that. Pero for now, Denise, natapos naman or halos patapos na rin ang pag-distribute ng 5,000 peso cash aid sa 5,000 individuals or employers natin. Denise.
Daniel, doon sa mga nakausap mo, isan daw nila gagamitin yung 5,000 piso at saka yung food packs na na-mention mo. Ano-ano ba yung mga laman nito at gaano katagal tatagal doon sa mga pamilya?
Yes, Denise, alam mo, nakausap ako kanina ng mga employers at ang sabi nila, malaking tulong talaga itong 5,000 cash aid na to kasi ang kailangan talaga nila ngayon is supply ng tubig and of course yung pagkain kasi calamity nga daw ito at hindi naman na in-expect kaya yung iba hindi na rin nakapagtabi or nakapag-subi ng mga dapat pagkain. So when it comes to your questions kung ano nga ba yung laman nito, meron itong rice or bigas na 6 kilograms, merong 4 na can ng tuna, merong 2 sardines can, merong 4 na corned beef can, at merong 5 sachets ng kape at 5 sachets ng chocomalt. Pero ayun nga, Denise, maliit lang kasi yung box, so expected na makokonsume to at least I think almost a week lang ito dahil nga considering na hindi naman din nakapagtabi itong mga kapatid natin dito sa Gensan.
Okay, at na-mention mo, Daniel, na itinigil muna yung distribution. Pero ito bang DSWD, nagbigay ba sila ng timeline kung kailan nila itutuloy-tuloy ito? And will they continue this distribution in the coming days?
Yes, Denise, for now kasi ang pinaka-priority nila is mabigyan yung mga displaced workers or employees nga dito sa Gensan. So for today and for tomorrow magkakaroon yan. Pero for now, wala pang timeline kung kailan magtutuloy-tuloy ito. Pero pinangako naman ng ahensya na hanggat meron silang budget for this, ay magbibigay sila ng tulong, Denise.
Alright, that was mobile journalist Daniel Daya reporting live from Gensan. Now, Pag-asa confirms that El Nino conditions are now present in the tropical Pacific. The Weather Bureau said sea surface temperatures have already crossed the El Nino threshold, but this must be sustained over successive 3-month periods. There is now more than 80% chance that El Nino will develop in the coming months. The developing El Nino may still bring a wetter rainy season in parts of the country as it can enhance the Habagat or southwest monsoon. But its drier effects may be felt later this year with reduced rainfall expected starting October. More stories when One Newsfeed returns. Stay tuned. You're still watching One Newsfeed. Welcome back. The Sports Multi-Stakeholders Panel is pushing reforms following the deaths of student athletes Rene Baterbonia and Divine Adili. In a press conference, Philippine Sports Commission Chair Patrick Gregorio said the panel will push for the enactment of a law regulating the coaching profession, including the establishment of a national registry, mandatory licensing, and certification for coaches and sports professionals. Officials are also seeking to standardize safety protocols for training camps, team building activities, and other sports-related events. Gregorio also assured that the PSC will provide assistance to the families of the late athletes. Baterbonia and Adili of the Ateneo men's basketball team died after a drowning incident during a team building activity in Dipakulaw, Aurora.
We cannot undo what has happened, but we can ensure that this loss is not without purpose. The most meaningful way to honor Rene and Divine is to commit ourselves to legacy reforms that build a sporting environment worthy of every athlete who entrusts their dreams to it.
The family of the late student athlete Rene Baterbonia also held a press conference this afternoon. The mother of Rene, Rovelyn Baterbonia, spoke about their meeting with officials of Ateneo de Manila University at Arlington Memorial Chapels earlier today. She said the officials apologized and told the family that her son's death was an accident.
Umiyak ako kasi sinabi nila na aksidente lang daw. And then, hingi din sila ng sorry sa akin. Pero, yun, sabi ko, hindi may babalik yung sorry sa anak ko. Hindi na mabubuhay yung anak ko sa sorry nyo.
Rovelyn said she is seeking a clear and complete explanation of what happened to her son.
Bigyan nyo na lang ako ng clear na yung parang explanation na maano ko sa sarili ko, matanggap ko na aksidente lang talaga. Hanggat hindi nila sinasabi sa akin na ganyan talaga ang clear, sa damdamin ko is may kulang talaga.
MQuest Holdings President and Samahang Basketball ng Pilipinas President Victorico Vargas has expressed grief over the deaths of student athletes Rene Baterbonia and Divine Adili. Vargas extended his condolences to the families of the two athletes, saying their loss is a deeply painful tragedy for the basketball community. He said the incident should serve as a wake-up call for sports officials to reassess safety measures for athletes. Vargas stressed that the safety and welfare of athletes must never be compromised and called for stronger policies to prevent similar incidents. He also commended Philippine Sports Commission Chairman Patrick Gregorio for initiating a stakeholders review. Senate President Pro Tempore Win Gatchalian says the chamber is not on lockdown. Gatchalian clarified that the Senate remains open and that senators may still report to work if necessary. He nevertheless urged lawmakers to continue working remotely for the time being as authorities assess the reported security threat. Gatchalian said certain individuals have been identified to him as possibly being behind the alleged threat, but he declined to disclose their identities at this time. He added that the situation is being closely monitored.
Lahat ng banta, sinerseryoso natin, especially sa mga ganitong sitwasyon. Meron din akong nabasa at nakukuhang mga intel na merong mga rallies gagawin sa June 12, particularly sa Malacanang. Daan nga ako sa Malacanang, nag-set up na rin sila ng barricade doon. So yung mga ganitong intel information, sineseryoso natin because yung situation ay medyo tense. And inutusan ko ang ating Sergeant-at-Arms to already coordinate with NBI and also the various intel agencies para ma-validate. No? Ang aking priority ay safety ng mga empleyado, members of the media in the Senate, and of course the senators.
The House Prosecution Panel says Vice President Sara Duterte's response to the Senate summons for her impeachment trial amounts to a, quote, non-answer. The 11-member panel has already submitted its manifestation to the Senate, saying it was unnecessary to file a formal reply to the Vice President's answer. House prosecutors maintain that the impeachment trial should proceed despite those objections. The panel has also sent its communication to the office of Senate Secretary Renato Bantug Jr. under Acting Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian. Lead prosecutor Jervil Ruistro said a special session may be called to discuss the next steps in the trial. The prosecution team expects the Senate to issue notices on the pretrial process and the start of the proceedings within the week.
From my last recollection, 74% ng mga Pilipino ang gustong-gustong matuloy na itong impeachment trial na ito. And remember, the allegations in the present articles of impeachment are the same allegation in the articles of impeachment back in the 19th Congress. Ibig sabihin, we are dealing with the same questions on threat, confidential fund, bribery, and unexplained wealth. Which means, simula 19th Congress hanggang sa oras na ito, wala pa pong naririnig na kasagutan ang sambayanang Pilipino.
One Newsfeed will be back after this short break. You're still watching One Newsfeed. Welcome back. Game 4 of the PBA Season 50 Commissioner's Cup Finals is set to unfold later this evening. The TNT Tropang 5G will look to even the series and avoid falling into a deeper hole as it takes on Barangay Ginebra San Miguel in Game 4 at the Smart Araneta Coliseum. The Tropang 5G trailed the best-of-7 finals 2-1 after suffering a 102-116 defeat in Game 3. TNT will once again lean on import Chris McCullough, who exploded for 44 points and 13 rebounds in the last outing. Meanwhile, Ginebra is eyeing a commanding 3-1 series lead behind its stars Justin Brownlee, Scotty Thompson, and RJ Abarrientos. Before tip-off, Abarrientos and Brownlee are also expected to be among the top contenders for the Best Player of the Conference and Best Import Awards. Tip-off is set at 7:30 p.m. And before we go, a stunning display of the Southern Lights has been captured from space, offering a rare glimpse of one of nature's most spectacular phenomena. NASA astronaut Jessica Meyer shared a time-lapse video recorded from aboard a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft showing waves of color dancing across the sky over the southern hemisphere. Meyer described the aurora as an ethereal and emotionally evocative sight, saying it appeared to snake its way directly beneath the spacecraft. The Southern Lights, or aurora australis, occur when charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's atmosphere near the South Pole. Scientists say the recent display was triggered by heightened solar activity, creating a brilliant light show visible even from space. And that wraps up One Newsfeed, only feed you need. I'm Denise Tan. Good evening.